Welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. We have intro music now. And thank you so much for joining tonight. My name is John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Sparcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
We just watched SmackDown. There were some things that were conspicuous by their presence. There were some things that were conspicuous by their absence. So without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown from December 1st, 2023?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. Absolutely, positively never bury the lead.
No.
The lead happens in the main event here as Randy Orton officially becomes part of the SmackDown roster and signs the contract with SmackDown. This was a contract signing segment with both the GMs in the ring.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the show. Lasted about 10, 15 minutes, but we have Randy Orton now on the SmackDown roster. Dom, what did you think of this main event?
I enjoyed seeing Randy Orton because I've been away from WWE for a while. I wasn't there when he was making his last run. I didn't see his final run there with Matt Riddle as RK Bro with the tag titles for a while. So Randy Orton is almost brand new to me. He's got sort of that new car smell. He looks great. He looks like he's in shape, which is fantastic. I like how they set this up with both Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce over from Raw on SmackDown competing for Randy Orton. They've got their each got their little folder, their binder there with the contract in it. Do you want to sign with Raw? Do you want to sign with SmackDown? And I do like that Paul Heyman walks out. Of all the people in this talking segment, Paul Heyman was the most over, right? I mean, when Paul Heyman walks out and interrupts the two GMs in the middle there, I mean, the crowd basically sings along. Like they're word for word doing Paul Heyman's intro. My name is Paul Heyman. Exactly how he introduces, like who he is, the wise man for Roman Reigns, and it was just so cool. Like there was a smart Brooklyn crowd that was into this tonight, so that was fun. And then, of course, he says the bloodline is going to make your decision for you, Randy. You don't want to be on SmackDown. You want to go to Raw. You want to be away from Roman Reigns. You want to be away from Solo Sikoa. You want to be away from Jimmy Uso. And to prove his point, he calls out Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso, who run down to the ring, and it's a 2-on-1. And then really neat thing happens. You can hear on TV that the Brooklyn crowd starts chanting LA Knight. It's not raucous and loud, but you can hear some LA Knight chants. And of course, as Kevin Owens has told us, you say somebody's name, they walk out. Well, LA Knight's music hits, he runs out, and he battles basically with Solo, with both of the Bloodline fellas, but then basically takes Solo outside of the ring, and they fight back up the ramp, and that leaves Randy Orton and Jimmy Uso all alone. Randy Orton hits his DDT with the guy kind of hanging off that second rope, and eventually he hits the RKO, grabs both the SmackDown and Raw contracts, opens up the SmackDown one, signs his name, drops the contract on a prone Jimmy Uso, and the celebration was on. And then a neat little touch at the end. Nick Aldis, of course, victorious GM. Randy Orton's coming to SmackDown. Nick Aldis gets in the ring. They celebrate, and Randy RKO's Nick Aldis. Who can still take a bump? By the way, I've said this before. Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are both still in great shape. They can both still wrestle. They can both still take a bump. So Nick Aldis gets a bump in his suit at the end there from Randy Orton. So Randy Orton is the star of this, but looming is Roman Reigns, who's not there, but his wise man is.
Mm-hmm.
Also looming because they've been promoting it, especially in the second hour. CM Punk is not there. Randy and CM Punk were tied together at Survivor Series the way that show went off the air. And they're kind of tied together again here because they keep promoting us. Next week's going to be CM Punk. Next week's going to be CM Punk. Well, this week was Randy Orton. Do you think it took away from Randy Orton's segment that CM Punk was not here on this show at all and they kept promoting him for next week? Was there a little bit of awkwardness there? What say you, John?
Yeah. I mean, CM Punk they showed a lot of stuff with him on Raw, a lot of stuff with him on SmackDown. He wasn't on the show. Happy to see Randy back, though. I have to say he's going to be a good addition. He's been away for a while, and my God, he is jacked. He
looks good.
Looked freaking huge. I mean, I guess he had like a year off, so he had a lot of time to work out because he's gigantic.
Yeah, he's eating right. He's getting his rest. He's he's hitting the gym, doing a little lifting.
I looked at his age. He's 43. I was like, oh my God, looks like he's bigger than he was when he was 25. So
we noticed that at Survivor Series, right? I mean, it was in a cage, so it's not the best visibility when you're on TV or even when you're in the live crowd. But, I mean, Randy looks good. He's not coming back for giggles here. He looks like he can still wrestle and be at the top of the card, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if his wind is back and his ring shape as he knocks off the rust. You've seen Randy Orton more than I have. Excited for this. You excited to see him back?
I think they need some help in the babyface department.
Okay, on SmackDown.
No, I don't think I digress. They don't need help in the babyface department. I think they just need another solid hand on the roster.
Okay.
On SmackDown. I think the women's is like on fire and really good. And then the men's, it just still feels like I think that they need a little help on the men's side, and having Randy Orton on the roster, almost a little bit, he's a bigger than Sheamus and more of a star, but has that Sheamus kind of, he could go out, have a good match with anybody. Everybody knows who he is. He's going to do the 10 punches and the crowd's going to count along. He could do some of the stuff that could help carry some of, I think, kind of a roster needs some help on the SmackDown side. But I'm looking forward to Randy Orton being there for sure. The segment itself, I guess it was all right. I figured he was going to SmackDown, and then I didn't realize there was a contract signing to figure out why he was going to SmackDown. I don't know.
Okay.
And maybe they're headed in a direction where they're headed to like GMs being more prevalent. Because Adam Pearce, I think he's been a pretty good GM, mostly because he stands in the background and just gets pushed around. And
right.
Now you have Nick Aldis, who's a real personality for sure, trying to kind of edge his way into, being a part of the, being kind of a more in-your-face GM. So maybe it'll be something interesting down the road if those two match up. I think you've mentioned this before in the past. We're kind of getting some of the foundation of them wrestling each other, which will be cool. But
Nick Aldis is a year younger than Cody Rhodes. He's not over the hill.
Mm-hmm.
He was the youngest person involved in the segment tonight, perhaps.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Not Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
But, he might be younger than LA Knight by a year or two. He and Cody Rhodes, when they had their NWA run a few years ago, they were in their prime, early 30s, I think.
I feel like the crowd all night, and I could kind of tell there were certain points where the crowd noise was being piped in a bit.
Oh, okay.
And I think specifically, when they would put CM Punk's face on the screen, I saw at the end, I heard, I heard really bad editing where they just made the cheers go on at the very end.
All right.
CM Punk, and it was it's one of those. But I was really shocked because I was like, oh, we're in Brooklyn, New York. New York usually goes pretty crazy for SmackDown or any live pro wrestling show. But I didn't really get a lot from them tonight until LA Knight arrived.
Yep.
And the roof blows off the building.
I
So
brought up that when Randy Orton was facing that 2-on-1, I could hear from my TV the Brooklyn crowd starting LA Night chants before his music hit.
yeah,
That was cool.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, his
Because it's just him at this point, right? You mentioned Sheamus. Sheamus is hurt. Rey Mysterio's hurt. So it's almost down to LA Knight as a baby face. I mean, Kevin Owens is kind of, but he's now messing around with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. He's going to be in the U.S. title tournament. But SmackDown could use a longtime familiar face, veteran presence who can be a baby face since two of them are hurt, and like Randy Orton fits that bill. So this is a good piece of the puzzle. Do we think?
Yeah, for sure. That's probably
Okay.
like where he kind of slides in there. But overall, that was the main event segment. Anything else? And thank you for kind of covering for me here. I had Baby John, so
No
maybe
problem. It happens. You should put him on the mic sometime. I bet he could cut a promo.
The nursery calls him Big Bad Baby John, so he's already got the pro wrestling name.
Does he have entrance music when he shows up in the morning?
No,
he's got to have entrance music. That's the next step. We need entrance music. I don't have anything else about this final segment. You've already mentioned how great the women's card is on SmackDown, that sort of women's division. Do you want to go there next?
Yeah.
That may have been our match of the night, Bianca Belair versus Kairi Sane. A lot of other people involved, then not involved, and then suddenly someone else involved at the end. But pretty good match in between all of the moving parts, right?
Oh, for sure. And Dom, give me just a sec here as I'm going to switch the thing to the follow. And if you could maybe take this one away, appreciate it. Thank you.
Bianca and Kairi, you got it. We've got Bianca Belair going over Kairi Sane in about 10 minutes. She hits the kiss of death for a pinfall at about 9:40. The match started about 9:30 here on the East Coast. This is a match they were building. It's continuing the storyline that saw us get into Survivor Series War Games, and now we're going to continue it out of War Games. So neat to see that the Premium Live event wasn't really the end of the story. It's maybe a high point for faction on faction, but it's not the end of the story there. So they set up earlier in the show that if Bianca Belair wanted a shot at Io Sky's title, she was going to have to go through the rest of Damage Control. And so this was round one, Bianca versus Kairi Sane. Charlotte Flair and Shotzi come out with Bianca Belair to sort of even up the numbers a little bit almost, because Io Sky's out there and Asuka's out there. And Dakota Kai's out there, but I don't think Dakota Kai is cleared to wrestle yet. She's good on the mic, but she's not, I don't think, cleared to wrestle yet. Decent match. I don't think these two have wrestled before. They've said that Kairi Sane's been out of WWE for more than 3 years. So I don't think she's had a chance to wrestle Bianca Belair. And a few times during this match, it showed. But for the most part, they're each very athletic. They move fast. Asuka at one point interferes by tripping Bianca, but the ref doesn't see it. Then on the other side, Charlotte interferes by tripping Kairi. The ref sees that one and tosses Charlotte and Shotzi from ringside. Turns around, there's Asuka in the ring who gets caught red-handed. The ref tosses the rest of Damage Control from ringside. But as we see later, Bayley hadn't been out with the rest of Damage Control yet. So eventually, when Bayley runs out to help Kairi Sane, I guess that's okay. She hasn't been thrown out. Behind the referee's back, Bayley interferes, drops Bianca Belair on the apron, rolls her into the ring. Kairi Sane looks a little surprised to see Bayley. Takes too long climbing the top turnbuckle for, they talked about it was some sort of, looked like a forearm or elbow smash that she delivers. Bianca Belair recovers, trips her up on the top turnbuckle. Eventually, Bianca hits the kiss of death for the pinfall. And now they're teasing that there's more problems in Damage Control. So this seems to be going that they're going to make people earn the shot at Io Sky, which is good. I mean, do that. It makes Io Sky look like a formidable champion. That these stars are now chasing her. I'm more interested with sort of the dynamics of damage control. And I don't know if you want to go there, John, or if you had stuff from this match that you wanted to talk about spot wise. But I mean, there was at least one weird looking semi botch
Yeah.
in this match, and I think it's because they just haven't wrestled each other.
Yeah, and it was particularly weird, right? Because she just they kind of fall over, and she just puts her over, which is like kind of the right thing. Just kind of get to where you need to be, right? Okay, she was gonna go down anyway. Puts her down, and then she just stands there, and then she just lays there, and then she just jumps on her to pin her, and she kicks out. So
yeah, it's like they didn't know what they were supposed to do. So Kairi just stayed on her back like, oh, I'm supposed to be down, even though it didn't look like a real hard slam or anything. She just kind of dropped her.
Mm-hmm.
So Bianca covered her.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when in doubt, cover your opponent, right?
So
it's pro wrestling. Go for the pinfall.
Yeah, and I agree with your assessment earlier. You said this is probably the match of the night, and I would agree. I think it's probably the match of the night. Mm-hmm. And it's a pleasure to see Bianca Belair back just in singles action. She's really good in the ring.
Yep.
Some of the stuff she was doing, and it was interesting because I think a lot of people weren't really feeding to the crowd tonight. Because I mentioned this at the top of the show, but really not. Didn't feel like I felt like there's usually a lot more energy coming from a New York City crowd.
Okay.
And I was a little like, this is weird. And we've been spoiled, right? We have some really great crowds all over the country. And even
Brooklyn's been gentrified lately, so this was maybe a hipster crowd in Brooklyn. Who knows?
Yeah, it's right. It's the gentrification. It's taken all of the,
It's the avocado toast of New York City. It's
yeah, they were all like, yes, they're all like eating avocado toast and drinking red wine. They're not like slamming beers in the parking lot and smuggling in vodka. But anyways, yeah, I think that ultimately the crowd was a little bit dead, but with Bianca Belair, she did the 10 punches in the corner, and bam, the crowd kind of got back into it because she does the 10 punches, like 1, 2, 3. Crowd loves counting, and I've said this in shows before, and I'll say it again. The crowd loves counting. The 10 punches were good. And then in addition to that, she had a spot where she did just a regular old scoop slam. But she scoop slammed Kairi, picks her up, scoop slammed her again, and really put some force into it and kind of like screamed. And the crowd was like, yeah. Like when the crowd's asleep, they like aggression. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go off a 30-foot plunge to the, to the outside. That works too. But you could just slam somebody hard and it wakes everybody up. It's like, whoa, okay, cool. So, and they heard her scream like this kind of primal rage scream, and it worked pretty well. So, agree.
Yeah, a good scoop and a slam where you can hear it in the ring. That's a different reaction from the crowd than all the handstand flips, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the hair twirling. Like I get that's her shtick and she does that, but the Bianca who keeps doing the handstand flips all over the place, I could do without that Bianca. But the Bianca who's not only quick but strong and can do scoop slams and all those kind of things. That Bianca I like watching.
Yeah. So overall, probably the match of the night. You kind of started us off here. Maybe I'll pick the next one.
What say you about the damage control storyline quickly?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This is fun, right? This is really good. Like Bayley's the odd woman out, and she's so good.
It's interesting. And maybe we can wrap it back over to the beginning with them. I don't know if you talked about damage control with the opener.
I mentioned that they set up this match early, but yeah, Dakota Kai came out with the 3 Japanese wrestlers, and Dakota Kai's now the mouthpiece because Bayley wasn't there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I haven't seen Dakota Kai do much of anything.
Knee injury.
Ever. And ultimately, she came out, and I heard her on the mic. I was like, oh, she's pretty good. And it's interesting because she's been in the background as like the background person there, and then she came out with all the three of them, and I was like, ah, this kind of fits. So I think she did okay. Like I think she was fine, on the mic. She wasn't Ric
Yeah.
Flair, who we'll talk about later, but like she did a pretty good job. I feel like.
Agreed. Yeah. How about Bailey? I mean, if this is going to be a fun angle, I think. I mean, you've seen Bailey more than I have, and you've seen her as both a baby face and a heel. Do you think Bailey has a face turn in her, or is she just going to find a way to keep being a heel?
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like Io is a face, but she's in a heel faction. So I don't know what direction they'll head in. She is excellent. I mean, she's done a very good job as a heel, and I've always likened her to Chris Jericho a little
Okay.
bit. With she's kind of like a funny heel.
Yep.
So she's been good in that role, but she's always been over as a baby face too.
Okay.
Um,
So
she
that's something to keep our eye on then. Yeah. So where do you want to go next? What do you want to select here from our plate of our a la carte here?
Yeah. So probably match of the night. I would agree in the 9 o'clock hour. Um, we can kind of keep going down here. How about we talk about Santos Escobar over Joaquin Wild?
Joaquin Wild, one
Ah,
half of that tag team that was kind of the undercard of the LWO. They were the undercard of Legado del Fantasma. Yeah.
Santos Escobar goes over in a match. He comes out as a heel, and I'm liking his heel turn. I think it's
Okay.
working, and I like that they're giving him a character because he's an excellent worker. This match had some good spots by Santos, specifically the drop kick when he has Wild hung upside down, and
Mhm.
he just goes up to the corner and like bashes through him with a drop kick. That I don't know what you would call it specifically in wrestling, but I know what it is when you hang somebody upside down on the corner. Um,
Is that the Tree of Woe?
Tree of Woe, maybe? Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll call it the Tree of Woe.
Okay.
That might be right. So you hang him upside down in the corner. That's a really good spot that I don't see used too often in modern wrestling. I feel like it's a kind of like a Bret Hart thing. I'd see him do that a lot. So
Okay.
um, that was cool. Like kind of a throwback moveset I haven't seen in a while. And then with the drop kick in there was good. And then also, I just have a note. So now that Santos Escobar is wrestling heel, he's doing like less flippy stuff and more aggressive stuff. And it makes me
Ah,
I like his style now more because it's less flippy.
good.
So it's like I'm not the target audience, right, for what they're kind of going for because they're like, oh, the faces do the flippy stuff and the heel does the slow aggressive stuff. And I'm like, oh, I like the slow aggressive stuff,
It's gonna make us cheer for the heels, isn't it?
That's it'll make don't bury the lead people cheer for the heels. But
Right? The baby faces are doing Irish whips and flippy stuff and dives.
right? Yeah, we're a no dive show. Um, we've been through that. Trust me. Uh,
This is a 4-minute match. Santos Escobar wins with the Phantom Driver. Post match, Dragon Lee comes out. They continue their feud from Survivor Series. Do you want to see more of Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar? Because I mean, Joaquin Wild was just here to kind of be a movable part.
yeah. When he got announced or when he was coming down, I was like, well, we know how this is ending. It's kind of just going to build Santos Escobar up. But I thought it was a fine match. I think it was quick enough. And they kind of had these luchadors wrestling quicker matches, which is good. We're not dragging them out too long. Um, and, for Wild, I've never seen him really wrestle in a singles match before. So it was probably a huge moment for him. I think he showed that he's solid enough in the ring. But yeah, so kudos to kind of Santos Escobar kind of accepting this heel role, and
Mhm.
we could see him get to the next level. Like when we were doing the grading before, maybe he'd be a C, and maybe he's going to move his way into a B, right? So
If he can develop his character, then you start saying, okay, is this guy replaceable, or is there something here where you'd miss him if he were gone?
right,
So that That's what you're trying to get to, right? In the pro
Mm.
wrestling business, you're trying to get to, will they miss me if I'm off TV for a while?
Yeah, or is he just another guy?
Yep.
Anyway, so Santos Escobar over Shaquem Wild. And do you want to go take the next match here? Which one do you want to talk about?
I want to go not so much to a match. I want to go to Logan Paul.
Yes.
He's back with his U.S. title belt, which has been all over social media and sometimes on cable TV, as we've covered here on Don't Bury the Lead. He's out in the ring, not wrestling, but he's got the belt with him. He's doing the heel stuff, and he's not doing so much of the smarmy, annoying, jokey, yuck heel. He's doing more of the, like now that he's got a belt, more the like, yeah, I'm better than you heel.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pivoting a little bit there. I like it. He winds up being on the announce table for the next match here, but they announced that there's going to be a number one contender tournament starting next week. So we're going to get that. Those are fun, right? Number one contender tournaments. You can figure it out what it is. You can follow it as it's going. And one of those contestants is going to be Kevin Owens. And when Logan Paul announces his name, Kevin Owens walks to the ring. They have a decent face-off. Then Grayson Waller and Austin Theory come out, and it's like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here?
Right.
Kevin Owens winds up punching Austin Theory. He and Waller roll out of the ring. KO resumes his face-off with Logan Paul, and then as they go to commercial, they tell us it's going to be Kevin Owens versus Grayson Waller when we come back. Okay. Kevin Owens and Grayson Waller with Logan Paul on commentary. I thought Logan Paul did pretty well on commentary.
Yeah, he was saying some mean stuff.
He was. He's all right. He knows how to talk.
Yeah, no, I think
he knows how to get cheap heat.
I thought right away when he called Kevin Owens Humpty Dumpty, I was like, ooh, okay. And he's like, that's a lot of weight running into him. And he was saying like some stuff that was just, it was mean, and you just sort of see, man, this guy's unlikable. And I don't think it's much of an act. Right? I think he's just being himself. So yeah, but I think it did him some favors kind of being on commentary here.
Yes. Now, Kevin Owens wins this with a roll-up. Anything to say about this match? Man, I have a few things, but I'll throw it to you there. Anything about this match that you wanted to highlight? Goes 11 minutes. Technically, I think this is our longest match of the night.
Yeah, I think there's a huge commercial break in there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they came back and it was in the middle, and they were in the middle of some action. So it was a weird commercial break because usually it wasn't like a rest hold or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think some of the commentary from Logan was good at first, but as JR says, everybody's trying to get their shit in. He definitely got his shit in on the commentary booth because he just started. I mean, he hit him with the two weight jokes, but then he just kind of called him like, "Oh, he's like a cannonball" and like stuff like that. And I think that Logan started to kind of just babble on and on with Corey Graves a little bit, and they weren't paying attention to the action at all. So I got a little confused with, because I was like listening to them and not really paying attention as much to the match. So I think that's like the only detractor. Maybe I'm nitpicking here, but like sometimes when they have the people on commentary, you're kind of paying attention to them and they're not really focusing on the match.
So you're saying adding one more diarrhea talker to an already 3-man booth may have been a little overkill?
Right. Like, do we need
This is a fatal 4-way on the announce table, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's,
everyone trying to get their shtick.
Everyone's trying to get their shtick in. So,
I like the match. I like Kevin Owens selling good ring psychology. They sell that Austin Theory interferes on the outside, stomping on Kevin Owens' hand on the ring steps. And then Kevin Owens sells the right hand injury the rest of the match. And Grayson Waller goes after the right hand. Kevin Owens doesn't have his full arsenal of offense that he would normally have, especially that, punch people in the face thing that he does. He winds up winning this match because Grayson Waller wedges Owens's right hand into the bottom turnbuckle in the corner, and as he's taking a running start to go kick that turnbuckle with Kevin Owens' hand stuck in it, Owens frees himself just in time. And then as Waller kicks basically an empty turnbuckle, Kevin Owens rolls him up for a pinfall. So Kevin Owens, good ring psychology from both workers. KO selling the hand, Grayson Waller working it over the whole time. And then Kevin Owens having to win the match, doing something different than he usually does. As far as the fat jokes go, is it me or does Kevin Owens look like he's in a little better shape now? Grayson Waller looks like he's gotten in a little better shape than when we saw him 6 months ago.
No, it's interesting because the fat jokes were coming for Kevin Owens, and it looks like he slimmed down a lot, actually. He actually looks pretty damn good. So,
and so did Waller.
I think
like Waller's gotten himself in better shape. A lot of guys have gotten themselves in better physical shape.
Yeah.
Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller. There's a lot of people who look like they're in better physical performance here.
They must have switched out. I don't know, trainers or something like that. But yeah, Owens, I think there's no secret he's kind of struggled with his weight, and he's mentioned it throughout his career, but he's trimmed down for sure. And yeah, the fat jokes were kind of oddly timed because this is probably the best he's looked in years.
Yeah, right.
So, it's not even really. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, he looks way fat. Like I don't really think so. But I do kind of want to circle back a little bit to the promo. So only because I have kind of trashed him for his promos, Logan Paul.
Okay.
But this is the best promo I've seen him cut. This one felt a little bit more genuine and from the heart. And he kind of, before he talked, when he would first start doing his promos, I know he's new at this and everybody's like, oh, be patient, he's new at this, whatever. But when he first started doing it, he kind of would come out and kind of does a little bit of this accent. It's like kind of like this Slim Shady accent. Like, let me tell you something, man. She was out here like this, or like, I think a good example would be like, he has an accent that he adds to it that's not really his real speaking voice. A little bit like John Cena does it too. It's like a hip hop overtone, if you will.
Okay, that kind of accent.
Yeah.
Not somebody doing a Bad Dusty Rhodes About Thanksgiving Pie accent.
No, that's a great accent. But he has like an accent about him that sometimes when he's talking, he'll be like, you know what I mean, man? Or like, he kind of has a hip hop vibe that I can't really do a good example of. But from my perspective, tonight he was kind of screaming like a weirdo and being like annoying. And I was like, man, this is a much better version of him when he's like,
more aggressive.
Yeah.
More aggressive now. He's got the belt. He's more aggressive. More aggressive on the mic. We'll see if he's more aggressive in the ring now.
There might have been some apprehension from him to kind of turn heel immediately. Maybe he thought people might like him, or maybe they thought they might like him. Like, let's see. And when he couldn't be less likable as a person. Like, there's just something about him, right? He's the total package of unlikable, which, hey, he's headed in the right direction as a heel, right? So, he's
in the right business for unlikable.
I can remember MJF's first, and now I'm kind of going to go on a tangent, but MJF's first promo he shot, I was like, oh, I was like, I really don't like this guy. And he shot this promo, and he talks about like how everybody in the ring or everybody in the crowd slobs, and he was in high school. I was the guy that would cram you in the locker because you're all video game playing nerds. And he just like ripped into him, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, oh, wait, this guy's really talented at being a bully, like a high school bully. And that's where like actually head toward too. Not nearly at the level that MJF is, but you can at least find a home there in that character because he seems like it was a little lost before. So,
and if he's gonna, make fun of people for playing video games, I think Xavier Woods and Madcap Moss will like to have a word with him.
This is true. Right. So,
Oh, the good old days.
um, yeah, they had LA Knight in the back playing video games at one point. Poor guy, and not knowing.
Losing in the video games and then coming out to the ring to lose in a match.
Right.
How far so many people have come, right?
Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's the Logan Paul, Kevin Owens thing. Anything else you want to mention there?
Not from their confrontation. Everybody did a good job. It was not your typical like, oh, we've seen this before, because they have wrestled before in either tag teams for a few weeks now. There's been this building confrontation. Then this was new. This was different. I liked it.
Yep. Cool. So only really a couple more matches and segments we wanted to touch on here.
One more match. It's the opening match.
Yeah. Bobby
Butch versus Bobby Lashley, which on paper looks like quite a mismatch, especially since Butch is all by himself. They're teasing that the Brawling Brutes are breaking up. No Ridge Holland anymore. Sheamus has been out for a while. And of course, it's against not only the bigger wrestler in Bobby Lashley, but both of the Street Profits are out there. This is Butch didn't have much of a chance, but as you've said, he wrestles with a lot of pace. He's got a character to him that makes it that comes through in his wrestling style, not just how he would be on the mic. And you think he always gives a good showing of himself when he gets in the ring. This match goes 8 minutes. Bobby wins it with a spear and a pinfall. What did you think of both of them, especially if Butch, since it seems like they're giving him a singles push and maybe breaking up the Brawling Brutes?
I'll tell you what. I like the match. I did have one note here where Bobby Lashley did a bear hug that was really cool. I like that.
Okay.
And before the match, when he got on the mic, I know he's supposed to be a heel now, but my God, the crowd was cheering him like crazy. They're chanting,
Absolutely,
Bobby. So this is one of the times in the night that the crowd was really awake. They're like, hell yeah, Bobby Lashley. Yep. And for whatever reason, that crowd loved him. And he is supposed to be a heel. But take the heat where you could get it.
Right, not in Brooklyn.
Chanting Bobby, Bobby. He does the good idea thing, which is put the mic out to them, right? And then they're like, yeah, Bobby, Bobby. But
because his confrontation with Butch was, when you've made a name for yourself, and then the crowd just happens to be chanting his name. He says something like this.
Yeah.
Like, actually, hey, they're chanting your name. When they chant your name, then come see me.
That's funny. The promo couldn't have gone any better because it was the crowd accidentally drove home his point.
Yeah.
By chanting.
Yeah, it was great. I like Butch fighting out of the big vertical suplex by kneeing Bobby Lashley in the head. Yeah. You don't see that a lot. Like if somebody goes up for a big vertical suplex, they're dropping down the hard way. Butch fights out of it. I liked it, but Bobby just choke slammed him off an Irish whip. That wasn't the end of the match, though. There are plenty more spots, including Butch hitting a flipping neck breaker for a 2 count. But yeah, eventually Bobby does get the win here. Montez Ford, the red pants. You're trying to look, like you're higher class here, businessman, wealthier, more status, more stature, more gravitas. You don't have gravitas when your pants look like the red Solo cup that you've been trying to ditch.
Clean it up, Montez.
Come on. Clean it up. I'm a fashion critic now. That's my criticism for this match. Montez Ford, what's with the pants?
Look at us. We got nice jackets on. Pay attention.
We're wearing jackets. You can't see my pants, but I guarantee they're not red.
Right.
They're not the color of a disposable college frat party beverage cup.
Yes. You gotta ditch the gimmick, man. All right. So that is
backstage. Pretty Deadly attacks Butch after his interview. So Pretty Deadly's still around, and I don't know what they're going to do with Butch. Are they sending Butch away? Usually, when they do a backstage jumping, it's now the person's hurt. Like Bianca Belair was out for a month and a half, 2 months. So we'll see if really all of the Brawling Brutes are off TV now.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I think that's our show. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No. That's it. And that's our recap of the show. We talk about the spots that we liked. But you know what time it is, Dom?
Is it drive time?
It's drive time.
Oh, my thumb is ready. It's the thumb drive. We're going to distill this SmackDown into a simple pass-fail. Thumbs up, thumbs down. There are no star ratings. There are no letter grades. There are no number grades. You're taking this course, pass or fail. I'm ready when you are.
Sorry, Dave Meltzer. No stars here, buddy. Just thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yep.
All right. So, Dom, are you ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1. Oh! 2 thumbs down. Only the second time I've ever seen us do this, and since we've been doing the thumb drive.
Yeah.
2 thumbs down. Dom, what did you think about this SmackDown, or what caused you to give the thumbs down?
I didn't get any segment that really stood out as a real main event. Yeah, I mean, they tried to at the end with Randy Orton, but I didn't really get a main event style match. I mean, they tried, but there were too many moving parts. The first hour especially, it just dragged.
Mm-hmm.
It dragged. So, half your show, I mean, the most interesting ongoing thing was throughout the 2 hours was Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce.
Yeah.
Who I like, but that shouldn't be the biggest deal going on in your show.
Yeah.
It's a slight thumbs down. This was not horrible, but there was just nothing that stood out.
Yeah, I thought going into 9 o'clock hour, I'm going to need to see a lot to make this a thumbs up. And they didn't give it to me. There weren't really any good, really actually good matches. Like really, wow, that was a really good match. And this will help save the show. There was a lot of matches that were kind of fast and kind of thrown together kind of randomly. And I even talked about Kevin Owens versus Grayson Waller could have been a little bit better, but Logan Paul's battling the whole time. If you're going to rely on Logan Paul to be your mouthpiece on the show for a 25-minute segment, I don't know that I think he did good in the promo. I think he did fine on commentary. Maybe we don't need to see that every week, though. We don't need to see as much mic time as he's getting. Let's save him a little bit here. So, from my perspective, just not enough good wrestling. I want the shows to be wrestling shows, and I've been giving thumbs up because I know they're built to these. We only have like 3-week window to kind of get to Survivor Series, so I've been giving thumbs up with that in mind. I wanted them to come back here and just start wrestling regular matches, and maybe that's on the horizon with this U.S. title tournament. We're gonna just have matches in a tournament, and curmudgeons like me and you will be like, yes, wrestling, good match, bang, thumbs up. We don't give.
Unfortunately, they may start it with Fatal 4-Ways next week.
Oh no!
So we're gonna be going, what is this?
No, Fatal 4-Ways. I thought it was gonna be a tournament.
Yeah, but they always do the first round as 2 Fatal 4-Ways.
Why? Well, we'll have
unless they're gonna. I mean, maybe I saw that promo wrong because I was half looking, half not when they would get into their long promo segments of the show. I don't know. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, and it'll be 4 first-round one-on-one matches.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting their promo here. We got. If we have anybody in the chat today, tell us what you think of tonight's SmackDown. We gave it 2 thumbs down, not like, way down in the gutter thumbs down, but we couldn't pull the trigger on, this was a good show. What say you if you're out there watching on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube?
I think it's Harsh Banana. Harsh Banana says hi.
Harsh Banana?
Hello. And Harsh Banana, what do you think of Fatal 4-Ways? Let us know. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Thank you for joining the chat here. We appreciate it.
What do you think of Fatal 4-Ways on the commentary booth, detracting from a pretty decent match in the ring?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch SmackDown tonight? Anything you want us to talk about? We'll talk about it, Harsh.
I think it's time for
Rajput. I'll have to look what up that means.
it's I think our viewers have joined us just in time. It may be winter, but I'm feeling cheap.
Yeah.
I'm feeling heat and I'm feeling cheap. Is it time for cheap heat?
It's time for Cheap Heat. Cheap Heat's a segment where we talk about news for Drew. Sorry, we got a comment here. News for Drew.
For Drew McIntyre, well, hey, we're gonna get there in cheap heat.
Harsh Banna, let me tell you something. Thank you so much. We appreciate the participation. You're actually predicting what we're going to be talking about here during Cheap Heat. We'll be talking about Drew McIntyre. So thanks for that comment there. If you're new to the show, Cheap Heat is where we kind of go through trending topics a lot in the pro wrestling world this week, of course, with CM Punk returning to WWE. So we'll go through trending topics. We make little shorts about them, short videos, and then shorts itself. And it really helps us get views, and that's really what has carried our channel to this point. We're at over 150,000 views as of this week. So, thanks for all the help and the support. But enough about me and more about this Cheap Heat. Dom, how do you want to start it? Do you want me to take the lead?
I think our commenter here told us where we need to go. It's Drew and Seth and CM Punk, isn't it?
Yes. So maybe what we can do here is go right into Drew McIntyre. So give me a sec here as I share my screen.
Yeah.
Are Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Are Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre actually mad about CM Punk's WWE return? Here's what we know. This article comes to us from cinemablend.com. Both WWE superstars look really mad after War Games, which is true.
Yes. We noted that.
And are they really mad? So CM Punk returned to WWE last night in one of the most shocking moments I can remember as a lifelong fan. So as the music hit, I'll just kind of sum up what he's saying here. As the music hit, you notice that Seth Rollins specifically was not a happy camper out there. He was cursing up a storm. He's freaking out when the cameras went off. And Drew McIntyre also appeared to be upset.
Yes, he stormed out of the ring early after War Games.
So Drew McIntyre, he's all out of shape. He's all bent out of shape, and so is Seth Rollins. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, like, what's going on. Like, a lot of people are saying it's a work because it's pro wrestling, but is there any real? It's like, here's the question here: are Rollins and McIntyre just setting up future storylines with CM Punk and expressing their disapproval while in character? Or is there legitimate bad blood here?
It's going to be both. There's a lot of times where pro wrestling takes stuff that's kind of real world and builds an angle on it. People don't like everybody they work with.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's somebody in your office, if your office is big enough, that you're like, oh, that guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy again. I don't want to hear this story, You pick up your phone, like, pretend like, I can't, I'm busy. I'm like, CM Punk shows up and Seth Rollins like, oh, sorry, I'm busy. I got,
Yeah. So, so as soon as the match was over, we'll talk about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, he bolted to the backstage area while selling an injury. There's video of him around storming and looking none too pleased. The clips were shared widely, but then copyright claimed by WWE and removed. So if they got copyright striked, which I know a little bit about, and removed, they really did not want that to be part of the storyline. So that's what kind of my antennas go up when that happens, right?
Mhm.
So I know that Drew, there's been lots of rumors swirling that he's not been happy, and then he's literally pissed, and someone gets a video of it, and
Mhm.
Fightful reported McIntyre slammed the locker room door and was visibly angry and cursing when he left the arena. He reportedly told those close to him that he wasn't happy about CM Punk being back. He's not sure why. He doesn't know about Rollins, so this is Sean Ross Sapp. But he thinks McIntyre is legit mad about how things went down.
Okay.
Yeah, he said got his own history with CM Punk. I don't know. Have you heard about anything of this history?
With Rollins and CM Punk, or Drew McIntyre and CM Punk?
Drew McIntyre.
I don't know much about Drew McIntyre and CM Punk at all. No, I know Drew's been he hasn't had smooth sailing with the WWE all the time. I remember for a while he was Drew Galloway in Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good run there, but he wasn't the company man continuously. So I don't know. Do you remember any sort of CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud?
No,
I don't.
I guess I could click this.
Rollins CM Punk seems like it would be more of an in-ring feud. Like those two guys look like a couple of guys who maybe have crossed paths.
Yeah, it's no surprise if somebody in WWE doesn't like him, because not a lot of people like this guy. He has burned some bridges. He's made some enemies. Who knows if he said something goofy on a podcast about Drew McIntyre? That probably could have happened. But enough about Drew. It looks like John Ross Sapp said on Twitter that he thinks McIntyre is legitimately mad. There's also the video footage that gets deleted. I think that's more damning evidence than this reporter thinking he's mad. That might be cap, as the kids say, or for our age, BS. So that could just be complete BS. But I do think the more interesting character here is Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins in the past, and this is 10 months ago, this video, I wanted to bring this up. So 10 months ago, Seth Rollins was interviewed about CM Punk and FTR. And I'll just click play and let him talk.
I cannot see that video switch yet.
My bad. Let's try this again. I appreciate you jumping in.
Yep.
I'm going to share.
So set this up for us. This took place when CM Punk was under contract to AEW, but he was suspended, so he hadn't come back for this last brief run that wound up with him getting fired. So he's kind of up in the air at this point, his status as a wrestler.
Yeah, he was sort of in limbo. It seemed like he would, if they could keep him at AEW, they would, and then they did for a couple more months, and then he was fired. But I guess he's getting this question as a result of the fact that he kind of was in limbo.
Cody Rhodes is a selfish SOB. He's not coming back for anything but himself.
Talking about comebacks, I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple free agents real quick.
Let him.
First of all, April, FTR, their contract's coming up. Is that a group you'd like to see back in WWE? Somebody you could see yourself across the ring with in the next couple of years?
Yeah, great talents. Hell of a tag team. Good guys. Always had a good relationship with them. I'd love to see him come back if they want to come back and hang out with us.
Well, I know you're a Midwest boy with ROH roots. We don't know what's going on with CM Punk, but you guys have had some barn burners in WWE. Would you like to see Phil Brooks back in WWE?
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away. Stay away, you cancer. Get away from me forever.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't like Phil. I don't like Phil. He's a jerk. Oh, did we just figure that out? No, everybody in the room is like, oh no, dude, did he say that? Yeah, no, he's a jerk. Come on, we figured it out over there. We knew it over here. I don't want him back. Go do something else. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.
Here's a spindrift and a muffin. we go. That was an all-out joke.
Oh, did he had the spin drift, didn't he?
He had the spin drift, and he was eating that.
And he was the muffin. He was muffining.
He was
Yeah.
eating the muffin. He was covered in blood, and he was like in my face about my improv.
No. My sorry, I won't be that harsh.
That's fine, man. Well, let me get real quick. Last thing, 2K20.
Then they go talk about the video game.
It's always video games, right? Little inside baseball there. They were kind of mocking one of CM Punk's press conferences in AEW. But Seth here doesn't seem like he's just panning the competition promotion there, because he spoke highly of FTR.
Yeah.
So this seems like he's just got something. He doesn't think that Phil Brooks, CM Punk, is worth the hassle, worth the money, worth the TV time at this stage in his very public career.
Mm. Hey, Harsh Bananas gave us good work, brothers, after us kind of explaining the Drew stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Harsh Bana. We love it.
Yeah.
Harsh Bana, where are you watching us from? YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook this evening?
He's on YouTube.
Just curious. On YouTube. Very good. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you. We've got we do live stream on Twitch and Facebook, but the mother load of content is on YouTube. That's where we can store things and have them available in an archive. So if you want all the Don't Bury the Lead good stuff, find us over on YouTube, like our videos, subscribe, and hey, leave us a comment if you're watching not on a live stream. If you're watching on a live stream, jump in the chat. Tell us what you think. We're into Cheap Heat right now. Tell us what you think of some of these stories. Tell us if you think there's a story we missed that you want us to jump in on and maybe get a little more information on.
Yep. So Dom, I'd say this. So I'm going to show that Seth Rollins clip and kind of react to it, if you will. So
yeah.
As far as that Seth Rollins clip is concerned, I think at the time that he was doing it, it was a good job for him. He was in character, but he was shooting, I believe, on CM Punk at that point. I think those were honest words. I don't think that he was necessarily too much in character, because he gives FTR a lot of praise and a lot of love. Yeah, they're good guys. We want them back in. Yeah, have them come on back over. He said, what about CM Punk? No. We know CM Punk. You're a cancer, Phil. Get out of here. And he goes like this. Get out of here, Phil. Get out of here. So he really, I kind of like that character of Seth Rollins. Maybe he could do that more. Cowboy hat and being a jerk. But
it is his character in the ring, isn't it? So, I mean, it was tough to tell whether he was in character or not in character, but it worked. I mean, if we want to read a lot into it, and that's always dangerous in pro wrestling, maybe these guys don't have a great working relationship.
No. And here's the thing. A lot of people, if they were to say that, they would shake their hand. Oh, hey, man, I was just saying that. I just, don't worry about it. We'll get in the ring. We'll go do that. We'll be good.
We'll do business.
But with CM Punk, he's the most petty person in the history of pro wrestling. One of the more and there's been a lot of petty people. So I'm surprised that he will work with him. But maybe they're just like, hey, this is a good opportunity to take advantage of the fact that Seth kind of buried you. So I think at the end of the day, though, that would be a match I definitely want to see. So kudos to them. Any other Cheap Heat you want to talk about, Dom?
I've got a few things here. If you want to throw the screen share up there.
You know what? If we want to still stick with CM Punk while I'm on it.
Oh, sure. If you have an article there, I may have sent it to you. Report members of the AEW disciplinary committee. I can share it if you'd like.
I got it.
Okay.
So
comes to us from Wrestling Inc.
Yeah, so the report reveals members of AEW disciplinary committee behind CM Punk's termination. CM Punk returned to WWE on Saturday, making a shocking appearance at the end of Survivor Series War Games in his hometown, Chicago, as the WWE Universe adjusts to having the voice of the voiceless back. more details emerge about CM Punk's firing from AEW.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets in a mix-up, which I think we've talked about several times now. He gets in a mix-up with Jack Perry at last August AEW All In. And then after that, they're forced to kind of fire him.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a council of wrestlers that decide on this. Chris Peck, an outside name attorney, and former WWE champion Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
Peck assumed many of the duties formerly held by AEW's chief legal officer. So basically, a head honcho in their legal department, head honcho, who's the other guy? General counsel Chris Peck. Oh, a head honcho with AEW's legal department, another attorney, and Bryan Danielson. And these three decide, let's move on without him.
Bryan Danielson, these guys have a history going all the way back to Ring of Honor, don't they?
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson and Phil Brooks have a long history. Before they were Daniel Bryan and CM Punk in WWE, before they were Bryan Danielson and CM Punk in AEW, these guys have been up and down the road for a long time. So it doesn't sound like Bryan Danielson took this lightly at all, nor should he have. And it seemed like it was a tough decision for him.
Yeah. But, I think it's telling in his tweet here. My dad always told me the right thing is often the hardest thing to do. It won't always make the most money. It won't always be the most popular, but it's the right thing to do. And to that point, I agree. If he's in that role and CM Punk, after getting one physical confrontation, gets in a second physical confrontation just before his match, Tony Khan's right there. He's knocking over monitors as he's in this physical confrontation. And then he goes out to wrestle his match. The guy's just unhinged he was unhinged in AEW. And, maybe they'll put a noose on him in WWE. But, yeah, so that's this article here. It looks like Bryan Danielson is kind of the guy that made the decision. But ultimately, I think it was the right decision. I think he had to do it. What do you think, Dom?
I don't know all the details, but I do know it looks like Bryan Danielson was in a tough spot, but he kind of had to be disinterested and put aside whatever history he may have had with Phil Brooks, the person, and the co-worker in multiple organizations. I mean, these guys wrestled together in 3 major promotions at least.
Yeah.
So I don't envy him having to be in that position, but it seems to have worked out for everybody, right?
Yeah.
AEW is better off without CM Punk in the baggage, and WWE is still in the honeymoon phase.
They can still enjoy the honeymoon phase, and they're going to get something out of them until something goes haywire.
Even though they're remarrying their ex.
And you should never do that, right?
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I mean, remarrying the ex.
No, this is like old high school sweethearts that broke up, and then they went away to college, and then college is over, and they're in their late 20s, and they rekindle, and they're like trying to get it back together again. It never works, but people still do it. So let's see if this relationship works as they have both aged. But yeah, so
right, they've each been dumped, and it's their 20-year reunion, and
yeah, right.
Just rekindling things over Punch and REO Speedwagon.
Exactly, songs of their times.
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, and that's the cheap I have for CM Punk.
I've got a little sharing, and we can maybe go lightning around here. Dixie Carter.
Wait, hang on. There's going to be another comment here.
Okay. That's a good question. Do they have history? Because they've been doing a pattern where nobody beats Roman Reigns on their first confrontation, which is why they've kind of set it up to now maybe Cody can do it. Do Roman Reigns and Randy Orton have a history where Randy already recently enough couldn't get over the hump?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
He might have to be slotted into that. You're not going to knock off Roman Reigns on your first try, are you? That would be a big surprise, though, and maybe Randy Orton would be the guy to do it. If somebody were going to knock off Roman Reigns on their first try, is Randy Orton that guy? Is it believable if it's him? It wasn't Cody Rhodes.
Well, we're in a weird spot here because Randy Orton is just like John Cena, where he's had the titles so many times.
14 of them they announced tonight.
And do you want to give it to Randy? Isn't that a little anticlimactic if we give it to our old head? It's not his role now. Should he be the guy that dethrones Reigns? Especially when you have a plethora of guys that are young and over that can kind of carry this company for the next 5 years, right? So
I guess it comes down to your booking philosophy for an historic reign to end. Do you want it to be a guy who's already a superstar? Because they've teased that The Rock would wrestle Roman Reigns, and then would The Rock be the one to beat Roman Reigns? Or do you want it to be like more of a passing of the torch, like the guy who knocks off this historic title reign should be someone who really could use that rub and could take it and run with it. Randy Orton, if he wins the belt, I mean, he's not going to run anywhere with it that he hasn't already run, right?
Right. It's going to be a lot of the same. And he's been doing like goofy tag stuff recently.
Yes.
So he's been out of that picture for a while. So you kind of put him back into it. But maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they make it a legitimate shot. At least it'll be a legitimate contender for Roman in an off show.
Mm-hmm. Never say never, and maybe they're setting up Randy Orton to be the guy who loses to him at Royal Rumble or at Elimination Chamber, and then Roman's going to drop the belt at WrestleMania. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, actually,
because Randy Orton is kind of fresh meat for this Roman Reigns title run.
Yeah,
and so maybe he's the next guy up, but is he the guy to do it?
Mm-hmm. And I think you're in the right. I think we're in the right direction here. If we were,
I'd say no. I'd say no, but it's pro wrestling.
Yeah. Do you want me to show your screen here?
Could share the screen. We've got Dixie Carter, fans of Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling. May remember Dixie Carter. Her family from Panda Energy owned Impact TNA for a while. She was an on-screen character. She was backstage at WWE Raw. Were they in Nashville this past Monday? Was that what it was? So she was backstage taking photos with some people she remembers. It looks like Chelsea Green, Nick Aldis, and Cody Rhodes. She definitely has history with Nick Aldis. He got his real start in big US-based TV wrestling promotions when he was Magnus in Impact Wrestling. So, yeah, she's got something. She's got a history there with Nick Aldis. That's great to see. I don't know how much with Cody Rhodes she has, but hey, they all seem to be enjoying the company. That is, oh my goodness. I remember his face, but I'm blanking on what names he had in different promotions. He was in Impact for a while. Behind the scenes guy there. Is that Bruce Pritchard?
Yep.
He was in Impact for a while as well. So good to see Dixie Carter. This doesn't mean that she's going to have anything to do with WWE. I think she and her family are based in Nashville, so WWE was in Nashville, and professional courtesy. But good to see it. It shows you that these talents, these wrestlers, they get around, and they do have some connections with each other. Fun to see.
Would it be cool to have Dixie Carter kind of back in the or even start in the WWE? Would people know who she was, or
she has nothing to offer behind the scenes? She can't be an agent. She's not going to book the show. She's not going to do match finishes. She's really not going to do talent relations and HR. If you wanted her to be an on-screen character, I mean, she could do the annoying Vicky Guerrero thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what she did. She was in that Vicky Guerrero, Stephanie McMahon mold, that just annoying female GM owner. She was kind of the Vince McMahon, but as a woman. You know, I own the company, and for a while she was face, but then she was heel. You'd have to build her up as an on-screen character. I don't know if either the WWE or Dixie Carter really needs that at this point.
Yeah. Maybe
she's got plenty else to do. She had her fun. She was Tony Khan before Tony Khan was Tony Khan.
Right.
Like her family had a lot of money. They liked wrestling. She ran a wrestling promotion for a while.
Did she run the whole thing?
She was an on-screen character. She was involved in the backstage stuff. She was at the booking meetings. I mean, she wasn't in charge of creative, but she was there.
Yeah. Interesting.
She was involved. She wasn't. She was not a silent partner by any means.
The original Tony Khan.
Right? She was Tony Khan, but she was proto Tony Khan.
Yeah,
I liked her. I thought she was good on Impact. I watched Impact back then. I don't have any hard feelings for her. I think it's great that a lot of people that she knows welcomed her for a little pre-Raw hellos and how you doings.
Yeah.
Yeah. To NWA news, looks like Camille is not re-signing her contract. This is the second big women's wrestler who's going to hit free agency in the last few months. The first was Jade Cargill, who the WWE swooped in and signed right after the merger to form TKO Holdings. Camille had an 800 and something day reign in the NWA. This comes to us from WrestleZone that she's not expected to sign her a new contract with NWA. Mike Johnson of PW Insider. She does have a history with Nick Aldis, and so Nick Aldis is now in the WWE. Maybe that means Camille's coming over. As someone who did not see much of Jade Cargill but saw some of Camille, Camille is a lot like Jade Cargill. She's like 5'10", very athletic, college athlete. She may have been a little bit ahead of Jade Cargill as far as in-ring polish goes, but you know, if she comes to the WWE, I would not be against it. It would be a case of the rich getting richer, though.
Yeah.
How much do you know about Camille? And you watch AEW. Do you think she would fit in AEW?
AEW needs some women talent. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
So if Camille can go, that would be great. They need to build that women's roster. If she goes to WWE, I feel like she's headed to NXT.
At least for a start, right?
Yeah. At least for a start, send her to NXT. I don't know if she can go to the main roster unless she does something that's really great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that she's known as much as, or, you know, I guess there is this report, but I don't think she's as big as Jade Cargill. She's coming
Probably
from
not.
NWA instead of AEW. She could go to AEW too. I know they have the Ring of Honor too. That's kind of like their developmental. She can head there, or go to, you know, AEW's like Collision show. That's like their second show. But I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities, and I feel like if she's expected to leave, that means she has another contract waiting, and it's an upgrade. Because why would she not sign, right?
Yeah, well, NWA's been dropping talent recently. So, you know, this could be that it really wasn't her decision, but they're just making it sound like, oh, she's not resigning. She may not be getting a decent offer. Camille, her real name is Kelly Dawn Farmer. She is married to Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer currently wrestles he was in WWE for a while. He was also in Impact Wrestling for a while. Let's see where he is now. He's been in the NWA for a while. So she's married to an NWA guy. She was married to a wrestler who was in another promotion. That may give us a hint as to where she may go, but no such luck. But if Camille is on the market, she's a great talent. She's still only 31 years old, so she's on the upside of her career still for a pro wrestler. So if she does want to keep going, I wish her well. I think she'd be good in the WWE. I think she'd be good in AEW. She'd be good back in the NWA, but it looks like they're not in a business position to do that.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe
Next up, The Undertaker. We've done some of these really fun Mount Rushmores where wrestlers give their Mount Rushmores of who they would like to see. This comes to us from SE Scoops. The Undertaker omits a major rival from his wrestling Mount Rushmore. Now, before you start thinking of who could this rival be, there was a caveat to his Mount Rushmore. It's on his 6 Feet Under podcast, I believe. So he only chose wrestlers who were 6 feet and under in height. He excluded WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, though.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think was on The Undertaker's Mount Rushmore? I got to be honest, I didn't know that all these guys were 6 feet and under.
Yeah.
In height, but apparently AJ Styles is there, and that's a good one. That was his last WrestleMania match, wasn't it?
Yeah. AJ Styles.
AJ Styles. I've never seen him have a bad match. I'm with you there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I've seen him have a bad match.
Chris Benoit, controversial name, but yeah, Undertaker goes back a long way, and he and Chris Benoit were colleagues for a while. Yeah, Chris Benoit, you're under 6 feet tall, just as far as what a guy could do in the ring, and even on the as a promo later in his career when he started doing that intense heel character. Yeah, Chris Benoit, that makes sense. Kurt Angle, I didn't know Kurt Angle was 6 feet tall or under, but obviously, if Kurt Angle is under 6 feet tall, he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
he's the GOAT for 6 feet tall and under, so he's there. And who was the last one? I skimmed this article. I forgot who it was.
Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero is under 6 feet as well.
Yes.
I did not know that. But yeah, this was a great four. So, I got to tell you, it's like the bubble when they announced the NCAA men's basketball tournament every March. And you're going, oh, this team should have made it in. And you're naming 5 teams that should have been in. It's like, well, you can't name 5 teams that you think should have been in there until you name 5 teams that should have been out. So I don't know that Ray can kick out either AJ, Benoit, Angle, or Eddie Guerrero here.
Yeah.
But what say you? Any quibbles with the Undertaker's list of the 4 best wrestlers 6 feet tall and shorter?
I think the list was pretty good. One person that they didn't talk about is Chris Jericho.
Is he 6 feet and under?
I thought he might be, because I'm thinking Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit palled around because they were all about the same size. So maybe he's over 6 feet. So if Chris Benoit was under 6 feet, he'd absolutely be on that list. Or Chris Jericho should absolutely be on that list. And then one I did have a kind of a quabble. I do have Chris Benoit on the list is a little much. And I'm not a big cancel culture guy. Like if someone said a nasty tweet, I don't care. But when you think Chris Benoit, what's the first thing that comes to your head? Is it his in-ring ability or is it the tragedy at the end of his life?
The tragedy at the end of his life, I think about, but I saw him so much in the ring that I have fond memories of Chris Benoit in the ring.
Yeah, I'll give you another good example. O.J. Simpson, a fantastic running back, right? But what will he be known for when he passes away? What are they going to talk about? He was running.
His cameos in the Naked Gun movies.
Yes, his cameo. What movie was it? Airplane?
Wasn't it the Naked Gun series?
The Naked Gun. Sorry, I said
yes.
Yeah, he was his cameos in the Naked Gun series. No, you're right. That's exactly what they'll talk about. You're right. No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If with Chris Benoit, he might be easily removed from that list. Although I do understand from a wrestling standpoint how great he was. But then you could even say, well, I feel like Rey Mysterio was still better than Chris Benoit. If I was going to just go by pure wrestling, I would say yeah, you could probably squeeze Ray in there and get rid of Benoit. And I know Benoit didn't have, and you could make the argument, well, Benoit had so many years left. Well, you know what? He didn't. You know, it wasn't like he died by accident. So
He did. Rey Mysterio for longevity would make it there. Hey, he's currently got his knee recuperating from a real life knee injury, but before that, he was the hardest working retired man in wrestling that we saw, right?
right. I mean, it's a good list. I guess the only thing I probably would do is drop Chris Benoit and put Jericho or
Ray.
Mysterio. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the hardest working retired man in wrestling, he's technically not wrestling, but Ric Flair. You watch AEW, so you could speak to this more. Ric Flair, apparently, he posts on Instagram about him getting negativity. I am so tired of hearing all this negativity. I don't need to work and I don't need the money. Can't I simply enjoy being by my dear friend Stinger's side for the next few months without so much hatred? Apparently the haters are out for Ric Flair here. I know I'm old, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy my life. I've earned the right to do whatever I want and I'm exactly where I want to be. I appreciate everything, Tony Khan, but I'm more than willing to walk away if I am and I'm embarrassing you and your company. All I can say is I'm sorry. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, leaving Instagram posts in which he has his settings to capitalize every single word that he types. John, you watch AEW, get off my lawn. Have you heard flack for Ric Flair being involved in AEW here?
As a matter of fact, I have.
Okay.
In one of our videos, I posted a video about a short, and it was Ric Flair. And in that short, people commented and they said, "Whoa, whoa!" And after somebody wrote, "All elderly wrestling." So we even have trolls on my account trashing Ric Flair. So I can only imagine his account.
Well, but maybe that's a legit comment. I mean, Ric Flair is up there in age, and has he taken bumps? He's not obviously not. He's not wrestling, but as a manager, is he taking a bump every now and then, like Bobby Heenan style?
He chopped Christian Cage in a 3-way match. He just gave him a chop, but he hasn't taken any bumps.
Okay.
He hasn't wrestled, and yeah, right. He shouldn't. You know, we both agree he shouldn't.
Yep.
But, you know, the online trolls right now in pro wrestling, unfortunately, seem to be everywhere. So, anything, you know, and there are a sub-horde of WWE fans who, if you say AEW is good, they're going to just jump all over you on social media and say it's not good. And it's done. And there are a sub-horde of AEW fans that are going to say, oh, CM Punk will never make it there. You know, Vince is a scumbag. Can't believe you guys still watch this. Stuff like that. So these fans in the comments, it's just more important to ignore them. And, you know, this is just maybe for the people that do happen to wander in our thing and comment and say nasty stuff. We ignore you, whatever. So he shouldn't let them get to him. But, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
You were at the AEW show in Philadelphia when Ric Flair came out. Did it seem like a genuinely warm reception for Ric Flair, or were there some people going, "Oh my goodness, this guy"?
No, they went crazy.
Okay.
So you know, he might be at this point, like, he's not in the social media era of his wrestling career. So it's probably very new to him to have people commenting, "Hey, you're old, you suck. You're old, hang him up," and stuff like that, which he probably would have gotten that in the 90s when he was old, you know?
If they had Twitter and Instagram back then, he might have gotten that back then. Yeah, so hearing all this negativity, that's what I'm wondering is where's the negativity coming from? If it's not on AEW's programs and he's not getting it from the live crowds, then, I mean, Nature Boy, brush it off. You know, do what you said you were doing. You know, enjoy yourself, being by your friend's side. You know, Steve Borden's hanging up. if nothing else, Ric Flair is making a 64, almost 65-year-old Sting look like a spring chicken.
Right. Agreed.
Good. It's been a good run so far as you've been watching AEW. Ric Flair hasn't embarrassed himself. And how about Sting? Is Sting kind of riding off into the sunset without slipping and falling off the horse?
He's done a good job so far of being protected in tag matches with Darby Allin. And when he does some spots, he only does a little bit, and he's done fine with them. I think he's in good shape. One of the things he's mentioned, actually, and I'm kind of long-winded, I know, on this one, but he has been sober for like 25 years or 30 years. So he was, yeah.
Okay.
He was pretty deep into alcohol and pills and stuff like that in the 90s, I think. So
wrestler on the road, yeah, a lot of them were.
So he went clean, years ago.
Mm.
I mean, we're talking like, I'm saying 25 years. It must be more, maybe like 28 years, realistically. So he's gone clean, and maybe that's why his body's been in good shape. He's not on drugs. He doesn't do powerlifting. Maybe he has enough that he can get around and be athletic. He hasn't been wrestling a lot for the last 5 or 10 years either.
That's right.
So, his body still has the bumps left in him. But he's done a very limited amount, and it's looked cool, and he's way over. He wants it to retire, and it's good timing. It's like, yeah, I don't know how much longer I can do it. So, yeah, retire when you can. As far as Flair is concerned, he did a very, 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 very passionate promo. He's like crying during the promo. But that's Flair,
At this stage of his career in life, yes.
Yeah, that's Flair. He was just going crazy. He was like talking about Greenboro, North Carolina. I think is it South Carolina or North Carolina? North Carolina must be.
I think he's from North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. That's kind of the horseman country there.
So yeah. Anyways, long story short,
Stinger is straight edge, just like CM Punk.
Right.
All right, very good. That's what I got. It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat.
It's cheap heat, baby. All right, Dom. So we're gonna go to our final segment here. We had a
Tell
lot.
us in the comments what say you about Ric Flair? I mean, it's supposed to be a sport. So does it take away from the sport when there's too many guys who are, could be in AARP, collecting Social Security, retired on a pension on your wrestling program?
Right. So this is our last segment here. We call it the Italian goodbye. We usually say, all right, we're going to end the show, and then we kind of keep going and going and going and going and going and going. We had a great gimmick last week with Dusty Rhodes and Pie. I laughed uncontrollably. And I wanted to make a short of it, but we had a short just go crazy. The Hulk Hogan short just went nuts. And because that short went so crazy, I'm like, I can't post another short. I can't post. Because we had like 8,000 views. I think it's up to 10,000. I couldn't send the Pie one up. It's a short.
Once again, Hogan goes over the other talent.
Dusty Rhodes specifically.
Right.
Once again, Hogan put himself over Dusty Rhodes.
We like the Hulkster. People seem to like the Hulkster as well when they see his name on videos.
Yeah.
So very good. And the Dusty Rhodes thing was completely unplanned. It was neither cheap nor heat. It may have been cheap. But it was totally spontaneous in the Italian goodbye. Do we have anybody still watching us on the live stream? Are you on Twitch? Are you on Facebook? Are you on YouTube? If you are on Twitch or Facebook, thank you very much for finding us wherever it is that you like to view live videos. Know that we have the archive of shorts, of edited clips, of special programs and episodes, and our full live stream archive over at the YouTube channel. Search for Don't Bury the Lead on YouTube. Like and subscribe there. What's our subscriber count look like up there? We're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, so we had a lot of subscribers come through this week, and we're at 343. So 7 more subscribers until we hit 350 subscribers.
Very good. We're nearing 160,000 total channel views.
Wow.
Which is great. We've been doing this a little more than a year. We started September 30th, 2022. So it's been a year and 2 months and a day.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. I'll tell you what, when we first started, if you would have told me we had 343 subscribers and 160,000 views in just over a year, I'd be like, yeah, no way. It's probably not happening. But
hey, people like pro wrestling and they like Don't Bury the Lead.
Yeah.
We get to the top stories right away on Don't Bury the Lead.
Yeah, it's got a lot to do with that. I think the trending topics for sure. The shorts have been really helpful. If you're out there and you're watching and you're a small producer, the shorts, you hit so many people, so it's much easier. It doesn't help toward your watch time, but can help toward the subscribers. And we've been consistent. That's what they say on YouTube. Consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we show up. And let me tell you something. Our show's not hard to make.
And our show's pretty darn good, I think. We've gotten better at it. We've got segments now. We've got backgrounds. You do edited clips and still images.
Mm-hmm. And don't
fade-ins and fade. I mean, they're well produced. We've got some interesting. If you're a pro wrestling fan, we got some fun content.
And don't bury the new theme song. We've even got
we have a theme, so we have bump music now, right? It's pro wrestling. We can bump with the best of them. The Don't Bury the Lead live streams now have some bump music. So, hey, tune in early so you can see the counter count down and the little cartoon bomb explode before you see our wonderful faces on your computer or mobile device screen.
When I'm up, I'll tell you what, when that bomb goes off and it explodes and the song's going, I'm dancing. I'm into it. It's fine.
We're ready. We have entrance music now.
Yeah.
That's it. We finally got entrance music. Don't Bury the Lead. It took us 14 months, but Don't Bury the Lead has entrance music.
And all it took was, yeah, we should do like a timer. And I'm like, I was always thinking about a theme song. And you're like, oh, I have music. I was like, you're a musician. There's a guitar behind you. Let's use one of your songs. You know? There's a guitar.
Of course, I sent over the song without the guitar. But hey, yes, that is it's from a former life in music. Yes, one of my many past lives.
Mm.
So it's good to know that it lives on and has a use.
Right.
We've got entrance music for Don't Bury the Lead. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And Dom, I guess we'll be here next Friday. When's the next pay-per-view? Do you know?
I don't think the next pay-per-view is until the Royal Rumble. It'll be 9 weeks from Survivor Series. So it's going to be the last Saturday in January.
Okay.
The 27th or 28th.
On SmackDown, then. We're not.
We're going to be we got a lot of SmackDowns to do, yeah.
Cool.
And we'll be able to answer questions like, what's up with CM Punk? What kind of a push is Randy Orton getting? Does it look like he's going to be the next guy to face Roman Reigns at a big match?
Yeah. I wonder if there's any other questions. Somebody else. People have dropped off from the person that asked this question dropped off. Let me see.
If there's questions floating around the chat, bring them up.
No. I sent this one to you already.
Okay.
The other one is, all he said was, Royal Rumble, Roman lose title.
Oh, wow. There's a prediction. We heard it first. Thank you, Harsh Banna.
Harsh Banna.
Will Roman Reigns lose the title at the Royal Rumble? Now, I wonder if Harsh Banna is saying that because there's some inside information as to who the opponent would be, or is it just kind of its time?
I don't think he's losing it anywhere besides WrestleMania, but I thought he would lose it last year in WrestleMania. So what do I know?
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Royal Rumble is one of the big four.
Mm.
So it would not be a shocker. But yeah, well, it's weird. We're all just waiting for this now. It's like, okay, when's Roman gonna lose?
The whole storyline is everyone chasing him and who's going to win it.
It's like, when's he gonna lose? Because he doesn't wrestle a lot, and he's gotten into a rut of wrestling the same doggone match against everybody. So it's just like, okay, when's he gonna lose? When do we get a new kind of A-list storyline for SmackDown or for even the whole promotion? So
Right. Well, we've had someone faithfully on Twitch the whole time. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
all right.
And we've had some people popping on Facebook. We have had a lot of people commenting on YouTube, which is awesome.
Great. Yeah,
but-
let us have it. We can take it.
Thanks so much for joining, folks. We appreciate it. We're going to have short videos after this kind of coming out with this show. So look out for that. Look out for some shorts I'm going to be releasing specifically about Dusty Rhodes donuts, or excuse me, Dusty Rhodes type of pie he likes on Thanksgiving. Oh, that's coming. That's coming.
Spoiler alert, it's all the pies.
And thanks so much for joining, Dom. I really appreciate it. I can hear the baby starting to fuss a little bit again. So on that note,
Give that baby a mic.
right. On that note, thank you so much for joining. Thanks, Dom. Have a great rest of your evening.